What's going on, guys? Welcome back to We Want Picks. My name is Jacob, aka the Freckled Salamander, here to bring you my quick pick video for UFC Vegas 78. But before we get started, make sure you go to WeWantPicks.com. What are we doing? Become a premium member today. It's only $10 a month, and it gets me one step closer to living my dreams in Brazil. Not only are you supporting me, Angelo, everyone else involved in We Want Picks, but you're going to get some good stuff back in return. A line movement tracker, DK optimizer, Angelo's picks, my picks, Artem's picks. I have been killing it lately. Had another successful week last week. So make sure you go to WeWantPicks.com. Check out the website. Become a premium member today. It's only $10 a month. Let's get right into the actual quick video. UFC 78. First up, we got Juliana Miller versus Luana Santos. How you doing, Luana, by the way? And this one seems a little bit cut and dry to me with a little bit of outliers. This whole card, to me, in my opinion, is filled with a lot of people that are pretty mediocre, fighting a lot of people who are not close to mediocre. And this is kind of one of those matchups of two kind of just mediocre fighters where Santos should be the play. She's the better striker in this matchup. She's got the judo to withstand the takedowns of Juliana Miller. But one thing Juliana Miller is not, and that is soft. I mean, she will go hard in the paint. She is not a quitter. She's not super talented, but she does work hard. She will grind. She will get in a girl's face, and she is dangerous off her back. So Santos should win the striking exchanges, should be able to withstand the takedowns of Juliana Miller. But what worries me a little bit is Santos using that judo, getting on top in those positions, throwing Juliana on the ground. And Juliana is active off her back. She is dangerous off her back. Even in that last fight versus Veronica, you saw some moments where she almost caught Veronica in a sub. And Veronica is a little bit higher level in my mind in the pure like jiu-jitsu than Santos. So I'm going Santos here. I feel pretty good about it. But Juliana's not going to quit. She's not going to keep coming forward. She's not going to keep trying to chase those finishes. So be careful a little bit. I have it hedged in something and I believe that is beautiful. Become a premium member to check out what that bet is. But I am going Santos in this matchup. Let's move on. Ruiz versus Amorim. And this one is very interesting because both these girls kind of want to do the same thing, except for Ruiz is probably going to be the better wrestler as far as like just a pure wrestler in this fight. But Amorim is what she is. She is very dangerous in the grappling jiu-jitsu. You saw her versus Sam Hughes. Easily get the takedown, get the back, get the choke in. How she didn't choke out Sam Hughes. 99.9% of the people get choked out in that situation that Sam Hughes was in, but she could not find the situation, or she could not find the choke, couldn't finish the choke, and then you saw she turned into what we hate, those pure jiu-jitsu nerds, the butt scooting, the guard pulling for 2 straight rounds after that. She was able to do it to stay safe. She didn't get finished, but the cardio was not there. In this matchup, it should set up well for her because Ruiz wants to be on the ground as well. And Amorim should be able to, find something in that first round. But again, if this leaves the first round, who the hell knows what this fight is going to turn into? So I'm on Amorim here. I do have a little bit of action in this fight. Again, become a premium member if you want to see what that is. But I'm not feeling real confident. The money line is crazy. I wouldn't play the money line. Get inside the distance. Get first round, second round. Chase something a little bit more specific so you can get a little bit better value. I mean, she should be more dangerous in the first round. But, I mean, Ruiz, again, kind of like Juliana Miller, not a quitter, is going to come forward. It's definitely the more mentally stable one, I think, of the two, as far as, like, pushing forward through adversity, all that kind of stuff. So, Ruiz has a soft spot in my heart. But I am going to Amorim here and just pray to God that she gets it done in the first round. Let's move on. Josh Parisian versus Martin Buday. And this one's going to be quick, fast, and in a hurry. I'm picking Buday because he sucks less. But he is probably one of the worst 12-1 fighters I have ever seen in my life. I mean, he is sloppy. He was getting lit up by Jake Collier. Parisian maybe comes in with this wild spinning stuff and is able to land something. But Buday, as bad as I think he is as far as like a fighter, he is pretty durable. I mean, he showed his durability, and that's really all it should take against Parisian. His durability and then lay on some volume. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this. Buday is my pick, but I'm not super confident in sloppy heavyweights. If you guys want to put some money on it, God bless you for it. But I'm going to move on from this. Buday's the pick. I just stay away from it. It's going to be sloppy. It's going to be low level. Who knows? Let's move on. Francis versus Isaac. And I'm a little bit biased in this match because Francis, to me, is a guy that's pretty well-rounded, but I don't see anything that just jumps out of the page. There's a reason, right? I had William Gomez as my lock of the week versus Francis. By the way, got it done. Easy peasy, no problem at all, except for like a little bit of a choke in the third round. But when I'm watching Francis fight, I don't see dynamic striking. I don't see overly dominant wrestling. I don't see overly dominant aggression. Anything that makes me say, wow, this guy is very good at this. And Isaac, to me, very untested. Let's put that out there. He's a very untested fighter. The first fighter who was even decent was his last fight, and that was a 6'4" featherweight, which is like the most insane thing I've ever seen. Got taken out easily, so Isaac was able to do what he wants to do. But I do like Isaac's aggression. I like his confidence. I like his aggression. I think he can get to the legs of Francis, get a takedown, and we'll see how high level his grappling actually is. But Francis, to me, is he's just a little bit too methodical. And in his last fight, he landed I think it was 7% of his strikes. It was like 15 out of like 100 and something total strikes was the strikes that he landed versus William. And I know William's a little bit different because he's a little bit more dangerous in the striking, but I just don't see something that just jumps out of the page. So I'm going to take a little bit of a flyer here in Isaac in the pick, but I fully understand the level of competition, only first round finishes, everything that comes with making him my pick. Have a little bit of action on him as well. I just like his aggression. I know that he is going to actively try to finish this fight in the first round. Whether he does or not, we'll see. I think he can versus a guy like Francis, but Isaac is going to be my pick. Let's move on. Terrance McKinney and Mike Breeden. And of course, Terrance McKinney should win this fight, right? I mean, he should win almost. Honestly, he is talented enough. Terrance McKinney is talented enough that he should almost be an undefeated fighter. He's very good with his hands. Very, very good wrestler, very good grappler. But the guy just keeps making mistake after mistake. Even last fight, when he fought smart, eventually he was worn down and he was finished. And the same thing, I would not be surprised if the same thing happens here. Listen, Mike Breeden is a very durable guy. You saw that in his fight versus Natan Levy. He came back and was winning. He won the third round on 2 judges' scorecards against Natan Levy after getting beat up in the first 2 rounds. And we've seen what happens with Terrance McKinney. If it leaves the first round, he's probably going to lose. Can he get a finish in this fight? Yes. Should he get the finish in this fight? Probably. But if he does not get the finish in the first round, he just becomes another normal guy. So my pick is going to be Terrance McKinney. But if you guys are putting whatever that money line is right now, minus 220, minus 275, minus 300, I think it opened up minus 400. You guys got much bigger balls than I do picking Terrance McKinney at this point. He's a super talented kid. I hope he figures it out, but he can get knocked down. He can get tired. He can get exposed. He's super talented. He is going to be my pick. I'm not playing him at minus 300, whatever it is. I'm not putting him in parlays. I'm not putting anything. If you want to play him for first round, maybe like a second round, and we'll see how it plays out. I hope he figures it out, man. He's a fun kid. This should be a good matchup for him to kind of get back on track. I'm picking Terrance, but my confidence level is pretty low on this one. Let's move on. Marcus McGhee versus JP Bays. And listen, let me say 2 things. If Marcus McGhee comes through, sparks this kid early, and just absolutely dominates his fight, I'm not going to be surprised. And I don't think anyone out here is going to be surprised if Marcus McGhee comes through, bam, 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 JP Bays out of there within 2-3 minutes in the first round, maybe the second round, whatever it is. But let me tell you this. I'm also, and I'm going to be in the minority here. I'm also not going to be surprised if JP Bays comes in, gets a takedown, works the grappling, works the control, finds a first round submission, or is able to wear down Marcus enough to where JP can then get another takedown second round and then kind of grind out this win and maybe find a finish in the second, third round when McGhee gets tired. Because there's 2 things that are absolutely true. JP Bays is a very good wrestler against Montel Jackson. Montel Jackson is a very high-level wrestler. This guy had dreams. He was training at the Olympic facility. He wanted to be an Olympic wrestler before they took the wrestling out. Then he transitioned to MMA. JP Bays took him down, no problem in the first round. Was mounting him, was fully controlling a high-level wrestler in Montel, a physically big wrestler in Montel Jackson in the first round of that fight. And Marcus, God bless him, doesn't have great takedown defense. He has cleaned it up. And in his last fight, you saw some takedowns. He was defending takedowns. But JP Bays is a very fast, blast double, takedown type of person. So if Marcus is getting taken down, this fight could be a parlay buster. Because I know a lot of people have kind of given up on JP Bays. He lost against Montel, a decision. came through against Cody Durden, looked awful, got sparked, but now we know that Cody Durden is a very high-level fighter. I mean, the guy's beating everyone at this point. So let's be very careful here and understand the capabilities that JP Buys brings into a fight against a guy who has shown in the past he cannot defend takedowns. So let me get this straight. My pick is Marcus McGhee, but you're going to hear a lot of people this week being very high on Marcus McGhee, and it could end up being it. I mean, he could come in, spark the kid. He's very strong, very athletic, very fast, but do not be surprised if JP Buys gets an early takedown, wears him down, and somehow finds a way to win this fight, or at least make it a little bit more competitive than people are going to say that it is. So, long story short, my pick is Marcus, because I think that he can be explosive enough, strong enough, and JP, I've seen him get knocked out before, but I'm a little bit hesitant to put him in parlays and all that stuff. Let's move on to the next one. Josh Fremd versus Jamie Pickett, and I get this one too. Listen, again, I understand Josh Fremd should win this fight. Minus 300, insane, because that guy is just not a great striker, not like an overly dominant wrestler. In this fight, let me say this again. My pick is Josh Fremd. He should win this fight, but it's more about Jamie Pickett not being that high a level. Jamie Pickett can be taken down. Jamie Pickett can be submitted, and that's how Josh Fremd is going to win this fight. But if Jamie Pickett sits on a shot, knows this is his last shot in the UFC, I don't know what his contract situation is, but obviously he's on this losing streak. This is almost like, and this is going to sound weird, Jamie Pickett is almost fighting the Wish version of Bo Nickel. That's what Josh Fremd is. Josh Fremd's probably not as good a striker as Jamie Pickett, but they kind of want to do the same thing. And obviously, he's not even close to the same level. And you kind of saw Jamie Pickett, kind of early in that fight, kind of handling his own with that first takedown defense. People are going to say it was the nut shot that led to the takedown. Maybe. And if Josh Fremd starts struggling with takedowns, Jamie Pickett is still a capable striker. He still is a big dude with reasonable power. And I've seen Josh Fremd make some mistakes in the striking, not be overly dominant, make some mistakes in the grappling. It wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world if Jamie Pickett upsets this guy. And I don't want to be this guy that's trying to play both sides of the fence, but this is one of those cards where it feels like there's a lot of mediocre fighters fighting a lot of other mediocre fighters that are just a little bit less mediocre than that. And I think this is what it comes down to. Yes, Josh Fremd should get the takedowns. He should probably submit this guy. But if he doesn't, I'm not going to be the one that's like super surprised, right? I understand Jamie Pickett, he's got a lot of experience. I know of a lot of it's losses, but he does have a lot of experience. He still has power in his hands, and I've seen Josh Fremd make mistakes in the striking, get a little bit lungy. My pick is going to be Josh Fremd, but again, this is minus 300, whatever it is. Seems a little bit crazy to me. I'm going to keep my money in my pocket, move it to next week, find something else on this card. Fremd's the pick, but I'm going to respect Jamie Pickett and what he could bring into this matchup. Let's move on. Tafon Nchukwi versus AJ Dobson. The first thing we got to make a point here is this is Tafon coming back down to 185 from 205. He's been at 205 for a little bit. I think he started off at 205, went to 185, 205, now back at 185. And one of the points I want to make for this is a point that Paul Felder was making in one of the fights that I was watching yesterday when I was doing my research, and that was Tafon was really struggling. The reason why he came to 205 was he was really struggling at 185. I think Paul Felder mentioned that he was cutting like 25 pounds during fight week to make 185, and he was feeling really depleted. So why the hell is this guy coming back to 185, except for the fact that he is getting knocked out at 205? A guy coming back, cutting weight, depleting himself even more after getting knocked out cold in his last two fights at 205 is just the biggest red flag I've ever seen. And AJ Dobson, to his credit, is a good wrestler. He's a good grappler. He's got really, really good speed in his hands. I mean, the speed advantage that AJ Dobson's going to be is fantastic. And his striking defense is really, really good as well. He struggled in that last fight versus Arman because of Arman's volume, right? Arman was still pop, pop, touch, 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 kick, kick, touch, touch, touch. He's not going to have that issue versus Tafon. Tafon is like a, and you'll hear him too, ha, 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 ha. I mean, he is throwing one, maybe two punch combos at a time. So AJ should be in a better flow in this matchup, and he should be the much better striker, the much more technical striker in what should be a mostly striking matchup. But if he wants to mix in a takedown or two, kind of tire this guy out, that would be my game plan. Let's go in the first round. Let's kind of wrestle heavy. He knows he trusts his cardio now. You heard that in the last fight versus Arman. He figured out his cardio after getting kind of ragged on a little bit by Jacob. So I would come in first round versus Tafon, wrestle heavy, wrestle heavy. Let's take some pop out of those early shots at Tafon and then start laying on volume. Pop, pop, pop. Pop, 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 second round, third round, and let's try to get this guy out of here late second into the third round. My pick for this is going to be AJ Dobson. He is a natural 185er, looked very good with his hands last fight. Striking defense was great, rolling with shots, very good hand. He just needs to throw more volume, and I think this is going to be a perfect opponent for him to throw that volume. A guy that will just kind of Muay Thai, stand in front, waiting to counter, and AJ should be able to pick him apart. And I think Tafon's kind of power is a little bit overrated, especially at 185. He's going to be a little bit more depleted. So I'm going to AJ Dobson here, and I'm pretty confident in that play, especially as an underdog parlay. Should be the better striker in what should be a mostly striking matchup. Let's move on. Polyana versus Lucindo, and this is another one where Lucindo is going to be the play for me. But I'm not going to be super high on her as much as other people because she is still very young, and she does some very weird, wild stuff. I mean, she does a lot of spinning stuff. She was getting takedowns versus Brogan late in that fight where she really, why are you getting takedowns against somebody that wants to be on the ground when you're winning basically every single striking exchanges except for the fact that you just kind of want to do it? And in this fight, I like this fight for her because Polyana is a Muay Thai shoot-the-box type striker, which means, and if you guys know the shoot-the-box type people, the Diego Lima, all those people, they get hit. They're tough as hell. They march forward, but they all get hit because they're all very tall in their stance in that Muay Thai style. And Polyana is very tall when she is striking. That should match up well with the wild striking of Lucindo. I mean, Lucindo should be able to land nice shots on Polyana, but Polyana is a few things. She's tough. She can strike, and she is very dangerous on the ground. Not only on the ground, but also chasing front chokes as well on shots. So if Lucindo comes in and says, I'm winning the striking, but let me get a takedown or two, that is going to be, I am scared I'm honestly scared to death. I have money on Lucindo. Become a premium member, $10 a month. You can see what that is. I have a money line bet on Lucindo, but I am scared to death that she's going to come in and for whatever reason try to wrestle Polyana just for the hell of it, right? A body lock takedown, end of the round, whatever it is, because Polyana is very, very dangerous off her back. I know it's the typical arm bars, triangles, the guillotines when you take a shot, but she is very dangerous, and she is more than capable of taking a beating and finding a submission. So, my pick for this fight is going to be Lucindo. If it stays striking, I believe that she should be able to dominate this matchup. But Polyana is tough. She is a decent striker, and she is dangerous off her back. So, if you're Lucindo, keep it striking, nice and tight. Don't do the spinning stuff. She's going to be hittable. You're going to be able to lay shots on her. Do not go to the ground is my advice. Lucindo's the play. Let's move on. Khalil Roundtree versus Chris Daukaus. Chris Daukaus, the heavyweight, got knocked out 3 straight fights. Now coming back down at 205 versus a very, very fast, hard-hitting Khalil. And this should be pretty cut and dry. Khalil's got the speed. He's got the power. I know Chris is supposed to be known as this good boxer, but even in those exchanges before he was getting knocked out, obviously there wasn't much in the Derek Lewis. There wasn't anything in the Jairzinho fight. But in that Curtis Blades fight, he was getting outstruck and hit by a wrestler in Curtis Blades. And Curtis Blades does not have the speed that Khalil does. Obviously, he's got more power. He's a heavyweight. But he doesn't have the speed. And Curtis Blades was sneaking in shots for Chris Daukaus. Chris Daukaus is supposed to be a boxer. I know he's got the black belt and he's a high-level guy on the ground, but he wants to strike. He's supposed to be kind of the fast, heavyweight boxer. But when I watch him box, it's a lot of just like lunging in. And that's why he gets caught, because it's not clean boxing and slipping and nice and tight. He's lunging in, throwing combinations. And against a guy like Khalil, that is bad news. Khalil came in against Dustin Jacoby and was getting kind of beat up. And by the way, he did not win that fight. I've rewatched that fight. I cannot believe they gave that fight to Khalil. But he was getting better as the fight went on, because as Dustin was getting a little bit more lungy, right? Because Dustin's very technical. And you saw that versus Kenny. Boom, boom. He's going to stay safe. And he was picking apart. Jab, jab, jab. And that's what was giving Khalil issues. But once he kind of slowed down and Dustin almost turned into a heavyweight later in the fight, getting a little bit more lungy, trying to throw a little bit more power, almost turning into a Chris Daukaus type fighter, that's when Khalil started landing more power, more power. Now, he is going to have his first round speed, his first round power against the striking of a guy like Chris Daukaus, who also has been chinned 3 straight fights. I absolutely love this fight for Khalil. The only thing that worries me is if Chris Daukaus says, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not a striker anymore. I keep getting knocked out. I'm going to get strong, I'm going to stay big, and I'm going to come to 205, and I'm going to out-wrestle everyone because I'm very high level on the ground. I just need to find the wrestling because Khalil can be taken down. So that's the only thing where I'm like, we just don't know the game plan that Chris Daukaus is going to bring to 205. If it is heavy wrestling, Khalil could be in trouble. But if he's going to come in here and think, oh my God, I'm going to bring in my heavyweight power to 205, the speed at 205 is going to be terrible for a guy like Chris Daukaus. So, long story short, I'm on Khalil. If it stays on the feet, I'm very confident. But we'll see what kind of game plan that Chris Daukaus brings to 205 debut. But give me Khalil all day. Let's move on. Cub Swanson versus Hakeem. And let me just say this. You guys see the Ryan Hall, the Amanda Hebos, all this stuff. My day one. Number one fighter. I think one of the first fights I ever watched where I'm like, oh my God, this guy is so much fun to watch was Cub Swanson. I became a UFC fan because of Cub Swanson. He is my day one, number one. And I think that he's got a real shot in this fight. I honestly think he's got a real shot in this fight because Hakeem, is he even going to make 145? Last time he missed weight by, what, 4 or 5 pounds, and he was getting chinned in the first round replete. I mean, he almost got dropped, what, 2 or 3 times? Almost finished in the first round of that fight. So Cub coming in, I know Cub isn't known as being like this powerful guy, but coming off a loss, at the end of his career, he might go out on the shield. If he decides he wants to throw power early, Hakeem is a hittable guy. And we saw that he can be dropped. And if he's coming down, and that was when he missed weight, but he had 4 pounds on him. If he depletes himself all the way to 145, there's going to be an opportunity for Cub with his unorthodox striking. Just like Juliana has a little bit unorthodox style. Cub's got those unorthodox strikes. He can find the chin of Hakeem in this matchup and knock him out. So maybe there's a little bit of biasy in here. But once I say that Cub, I think, honestly does have a shot in this matchup, I just don't see the same Cub. And that's going to happen with age, right? I mean, I don't see the same speed. I don't see the same kind of unorthodox striking. He tried to work in the wrestling. Maybe he kind of works in the wrestling and the grappling into Hakeem, kind of wear him down early. But Hakeem is a high-level striker. He is a multi-time Muay Thai champion, something like that. He's very high level. Once he gets in the flow, he's a very, very good, precise striker. He is a tough dude. I mean, he was getting dropped versus Julian, came and didn't get finished. I mean, he was working through that fight and was having success later on. So, I'm picking Hakeem, and it breaks my heart. I actually put money on Hakeem just because I don't see that same thing happening to Cub. I just don't see that same type of speed that I would like to see in Cub Swanson versus a guy like Hakeem. But, I placed a bet on Hakeem. You guys go to we1pigs.com, become a premium member if you want to see that. But there would be nothing that I want in my life more than to lose that bet. For Cub Swanson on a co-main event to come through 39 years old and beat a hot prospect like Hakeem, who is touted as this incredible striker, nothing would warm my heart more. But unfortunately, I think Hakeem is that dude. This is a passing of the guard situation, and Cub just hasn't shown me lately what he can do, except for that fight versus, Darren Elkins. So I am going with Hakeem, but I hope that I'm wrong. I love Cub. He is my day one. Let's move on to the main event. Main event time, Vicente Luque versus Rafael dos Anjos. And this one is going to be very, very interesting. And I think what it comes down to, in my mind, and maybe I'm looking at this a little bit different. In my mind, it's going to come down to, has Vicente Luque taken too much punishment? And you saw in his last fight, it seems like he almost has gotten to the point where finally all the battles, all the shots he's been taking has started to catch up with him, because he got finished for the first time in that fight. He had bleeding on his brain, I think, after that fight. It's like, man, coming in with that type of damage against a guy like RDA, who has been there, done that, and can do it all. He's a good striker, but it is the wrestling, and that's what everyone's probably going to harp on too. Vicente's got pretty good takedown defense, but he can be taken down. RDA is a very, very good wrestler, very high-level grappler. So can he get the takedowns and get the control versus a guy like Vicente? And in my mind, I don't think he can. I'm going to stick with Vicente. I think Vicente's the better overall fighter in this matchup. He's very dangerous on the ground. He's very dangerous with his hands. He's got a great left hook. And that's what we saw Fiziev finally catch RDA in the 5th round of that fight, was that nice, clean left hook. And that's what I'm going to be waiting for. It's going to be the Vicente defending the take. If he gets taken down early and starts getting mauled, it is what it is. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm taking Vicente and I'm putting money. I'm not putting money on either one of these guys. Too many red flags all the way around. But picking as a fight and making a pick, I'm going to take Vicente because I think he can withstand the wrestling, withstand the grappling, and I think he's just a little bit more dangerous of a striker. We'll see if the damage is too much and maybe he gets chinned again, but RDA can get knocked out. And Vicente does knock people out. I mean, that guy's got real power everywhere in his hands, but especially that left hook. And that's what we saw Fiziev catch RDA with as well. So, long story short, main event, UFC Vegas 78. It should be a fun matchup. I hope that it's not just RDA laying on Vicente for 5 rounds. Nobody wants to see that. We just saw that with Corey. We don't want the same thing. Stand and bang. Come on, man. But I ain't going to take Vicente. I think he can withstand the takedowns, defend enough, put some hands on RDA, and really kind of wear him down. But it should be a fun main event, I hope. And I want to thank you guys so much for joining me for my quick pick video. Make sure you like the video. Subscribe if you are new. This has been my quick pick video for UFC Vegas 78. And I think I'm out. I appreciate you guys. Become a premium member, please. $10 a month. Love you guys. Peace.